I recently received my LCSW in the state of New Jersey, and I have been receiving a lot of questions from my friends about the process. So I made this video to answer a few of the questions that anybody may have. So there are two components to the LCSW application process. The first one is the clinical hours. The second one is the ASWB exam, which is a 4-hour exam with 170 questions. So how many hours are needed? For me, I only did 1,920 because when I contacted the board in New Jersey, they told me that I needed 1,920 because I started my supervision hours in September of 2018. If you did after that, you would need 3,000 and 1,920 face-to-face hours, and 1,080 hours could be accounted for the time you spent in supervision. Okay, so where did I get my hours? So I got my hours as a medical social worker in a hospital, and I also work as an IIC, which is an in-home therapist part-time. So basically they have a lot of those agency around. So it's basically you work with kids doing psychotherapy, and you work with doing parent coaching, and those are cases that are referred to private agency by the New Jersey System of Care, Perform Care, and those type of agencies that are responsible for catering to the needs of kids. So how long did my hours take? So my hours took 2 years because in my full-time job as a medical social worker, I work full-time even during COVID-19, and I work part-time with the IAC, and that part was to fulfill the group component of my supervision. And also I wanted to say, for those of you who are thinking of applying for the LCSW, do take your exam at least a year before you complete your hours, because if you fail the exam, you would need to wait 90 days, that's 3 months, in order to retake the exam. And it just gives you a lot of time and takes the pressure off of you. And I also encourage you to submit a proposed supervision plan. That is a plan that tells the board what your supervisor plans to work on you with during supervision. And you could send that in at the time you submit your LCSW application, but you run the risk of having it denied in case they need more additional information or there's something missing. Then it will slow the process of your application. And I know the board meets once per month. I know January they'll meet on the 13th. So you just have to bear in mind. And also with submitting with the fee for submitting your application, the requirements, you have to be a BALSW, which is a licensed social worker in the state of New Jersey, and you just have to take an exam for that. And you have to be working in a clinical setting, because they will ask you for a job letter, and some job letters, the descriptions are not sufficient for the exam, especially if you're just like 100% a case manager. So they'll take that into consideration as well. And that's one reason why I encourage you to submit your proposed supervision plan, because when you send the job letter in as well, they'll tell you this does not meet the criteria, the board says this, the board says that. And the application fee for you would to take the exam like requesting permission to take the exam is $75, and you have to submit that. And if you get granted permission, if they grant you permission to take the exam, then you would have to apply to the ASWB, Associate Board of Social Work, and you could do that online or you could do it in person. It's quicker to do it online. It's just on the phone, there's a person that is asking you a few questions, and it's $260 for the exam. And if you do fail that exam after you take it, you do have to repay that 260. And after you register for the exam, after being granted permission by the state of New Jersey, going on the New Jersey Board of Consumer Affairs website, you just allow a day for you to register with ASWB. And then you go on the ASWB website. They'll send you a link to register to schedule an exam at a Pearson site, and they have a few around New Jersey, so you could register. And you all the beauty about that, you could always change your date. So for example, if you schedule to take the exam next month and you feel like you're not ready, you could reschedule to take the exam the month after, as long as it's within a year, because you get a year before that request expires, so you have to reapply. So, and the final part I wanted to talk about is submitting the exam, and also about your supervisor. So your supervisor needs to have 20 hours of supervised certificate. Some supervisor get those hours through Rutgers, and you have to be a supervisor for you have to have an LSW for 3 years, and you submit your resume. So all of those you have to submit with the application. It's okay, because I did submit it with a proposed supervision of plan. That is before I submit the application, just so that the board could say this person is okay. But I did call before, and I knew that she had all the credentials. And you need her license as well, her resume, and her certificate, and the LCSW, and know that she's an LCSW here. She's an LCSW for 3 years. And also, a lot of people ask question about the documentation of your hours. They do not collect that, but I did submit mine. And I got a form an Excel form from the NASW New Jersey chapter, and that's what I use. So basically, it's the client's initial, the encounter, whether it be one-on-one interaction. And on the NASW and the New Jersey Board of Consumer Affairs, they have like different interaction that are eligible to be written on the supervision log. And I also you could use a Word document too. That's also found on the New Jersey Division of Consumer Affairs / Social Work Examiner website. And also, when you're completing the application, you should submit a passport size photo, and your supervisor only needs to complete pages 13 and 14, and you're responsible for notarizing the 2 pages in the application. And I know due to COVID-19, there's been a lot of application that were not addressed, because I sent my application, my proposed plan of supervision through the mail, but also nobody responded. And I got in contact with someone at the board, because they were working on furlough. So her name is Courtney Turner, and she was very responsive. Like, I applied for after I submitted my proposed plan of supervision, I applied for the LCSW exam in October, because I knew the board met on the 14th or the 15th, and I wanted to submit mine. And I got my license number on the 23rd of November. So she was pretty responsive. Like, any question that I had, instead of consulting with the board, because I saw that some of the information are outdated there, so she would answer them for me. So I thought she told me that the supervisor needed to be an LCSW for 2 years, but the website said 3. But in any regard, and when you make sure, because I've heard a lot of people that said that the job description, they got denied because of the job description. Make sure you send your job description with a proposed plan of supervision, so they could let you know this is what we do not accept it. Because if they don't accept it, maybe you could write your HR department and ask them to maybe tweak a little of your job function, so that you could send it to them, because they will not accept certain job description. And what else? So that's basically it I could think of. And just make sure the person at New Jersey Division of Consumer Affairs, her name is Courtney Turner, and that's Turner, capital C, at dca.njoag.gov, and she's very responsive, so you could reach out to her. And that's how I got my LCSW. And as I mentioned, I only needed 1,920 because I started September 1st, 2018. If you started after, then you need 3,000. And actually, when I spoke to Courtney, she told me that I didn't need to submit a proposed plan of supervision, because on the website as well, the New Jersey website, Board of Consumer Affairs Social Work Examiner website, where it says that it's beginning 2021 January, then you need to submit the plan of supervision. So if you started before, if you completed your hours, say December, then you don't need to submit it. But if your hours are not yet completed, then you would need to submit your plan of supervision of care. And also, it's a lot of money if you do not pass that exam. So make sure to purchase the practice exam on the ASW website. You would need to enter your candidate number. There's a specific number that they will recognize that you are indeed a student that is registered for the exam, and you have to register with the exam on the Pearson website first before you're able to purchase the ASW practice exam for $85. I think that's the closest exam I've seen out there that mimics the real exam. A lot of the questions are not clinical diagnoses questions. There are a lot of policies, management. Luckily, I was in the MAP track in college, so I didn't do clinical, but and I did some elective clinical courses, but my main concentration was not clinical. So make sure you purchase that and study the rationale. You have 30 days once from the day you purchase the ASWB practice exam to review it. After that, it expires and you have to repurchase it. So it's a good study too. And I know they have a lot of YouTube videos out there. Resolution Today with Dr. Rachel Haskell. She's very great in an explanation. And I know you have Dr. Pam Turner. She's good as well. So I hope you enjoy this video. And if you have any questions, please comment below and I'll try my best to answer. Bye.